Hello, and welcome to Smeg and the Femmes, a podcast to discuss Red Dwarf from a different perspective. I'm Jan Amelie, and today I'll be talking about Series 1, Episode 4, Waiting for God, with the help of my guest, Totty Totty Totty. So, welcome back, Totty.
Good to be here.
Good to have you here. So, Waiting for God. Very, very obviously an episode about religion, but also more generally about people looking for meaning in life. I was struck by, even the appliances. I mean, Talkie Toaster here is having a bit of an existential crisis.
Oh man, what a character to introduce here too. And Talkie's existence is about toast.
But yeah, I mean, it gets almost tearful. This is just cruel. My existence is to serve you toast. Why don't you want any toast?
That's a simple example. And then we've also got Rimmer, who's like, he doesn't believe in God, but he is so excited for aliens, and he really holds on to this belief that he is going to get a new body from the Quagars.
Yeah, I mean, I was struck actually by, on rewatching, by how young and lively Rimmer and Lister are here. I mean, they sort of race about the ship, and I mean, obviously they're excited, but they're so full of, optimism. Even Rimmer in this particular episode.
They really are.
Yeah,
they haven't quite gotten depressed and lazy.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because obviously this particular episode, you can't help thinking about it in conjunction with the very recent special, The Promised Land. And obviously the contrast, is kind of marked.
Yes. I'm so glad that they finally did come back to this topic though with The Promised Land, because this is with the first and only cat-centric episode we get in the original run. We don't really have anything that's very cat focused until later on in the Dave era, when Cat encounters the polymorph, and finally
and thinks he meets a female cat.
And it's just it's interesting for me. It's one of those episodes I really remember the most from the early couple of series, because you don't get to dive into the history of why there's a cat on the ship very much.
Interestingly, on the Series 1 documentary, Rob Grant says it's actually his least favorite episode, obviously, of the ones that he was involved with,
But it answers so many questions for you. Maybe it's not the funniest episode in the universe, but for people who really love the show and really want to know more, it answers, and it also creates a lot of questions as well. And it's a very big part of Red Dwarf lore in general, even if we don't happen to bring it up too much, that Lister just happens to be a god.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not one of my favorite episodes. I mean, I certainly don't dislike it. I mean, the all of Series 1. I mean, I like, because it's, how can you not like it? Really, they're so young and naive and cute. How can you not like them?
Oh, and Lister and Rimmer in here they're so contentious still. The whole tot argument, where they're just I don't know, they're bickering like old ladies. It's a different vibe than you get later on. They're so at each other's throats here.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I did want to bring up, this episode, it's probably the most angry we ever see Rimmer.
Oh yeah, he honestly it's kind of shocking to see him just unload like that, because I mean, Rimmer does not hide his opinions or thoughts at any point of time, and he certainly doesn't have any trouble getting angry. But this just he seems beyond, and it's got to really make you wonder just what's going through him emotionally right now, because you can see he's super dedicated to this idea that he's going to get a body back, and it clearly affects him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just I mean, in later series, he tends to be sort of oh, you're not worth getting angry with. I'm above all this kind of that's the
Mhm.
vibe he gives off, But here,
Mm.
he really sort of loses it and shouts at this stuff.
Yeah, full on argument.
Yeah, and of course, they're both still relatively young, and they sort of argue in a kind of childish fashion, which again is such a contrast to the promised land, but by then, it's like, oh, I can't be bothered to argue.
They really are childish here, and where Lister puts his mouth against the
That is, yeah, I mean,
window.
obviously that's gross, I hate it, but
Oh, like he's just trying to wind him up, but man, Craig really goes for it in that scene.
you've
Like,
got you've got to you've got to admire Craig's lack of I don't care if this makes me look stupid kind of a vibe.
well, I thank God for that. But yeah, I don't know. They. This is not the way like friends or colleagues fight. This is like the fight of over familiarity, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen their relationships sort of compared to siblings, and there, I
Yeah.
mean, in the sort of early series, I can see it. In sort of
Um,
bickering siblings. Yeah,
I can totally see that. Just like the absolutely brutal argument of like a couple of elementary school kids.
yeah, and of course, Rimmer only had brothers, and they were all pretty horrible to him. So, I mean, obviously, that is how he would relate to Lister, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I was struck. I was just like, I was struck by the bit where Lissa says to Rimmer, he feels so bad about what the cats did in his name, and he wishes he could meet them and explain and apologize. And of course, 32 years later, he did.
well, he's that he sure did, and most guys should be so lucky. But
Yeah.
as we know, Rob Grant and Doug Naylor are atheists, and we establish in this one that Rimmer is an atheist. So this it's very in cynical view of religion being painted here. The comments about what does Taki Toaster say? He's like, what else is new?
Oh yeah, when Lissa says they're just using religion as an excuse to be extremely crappy to each other. So what else is new?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
I love
Um,
that line, listen bit.
it's beautiful, and like you can tell, like a lot of the way Lister feels about accidentally being God and like everybody making this mistake is commentary on religion itself um, from that perspective. And like I like the idea of like, boy, what if like whoever we think is God feels the same way, certainly they would, because we do all these crappy things and get things wrong as well in real life. So I appreciate that commentary, although it does seem a little dangerous to insult religion, but I personally I love it.
Yeah, of course. Here in this particular episode, Lister does he does what I think is the right thing in the circumstances. He's kind to the cat priest and sort of lets him keep his illusions because I mean he's dying, So what's the difference,
Hmm. Yeah, well, he's a very kind person for that too, and it takes him 2 seconds flat to decide to do that as well. I mean, he just
Yeah,
discovered this person exists at all.
I know. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's utterly in character for Cat not to have mentioned. Oh, yeah, there is another cat on board. I
Oh
mean,
man, he doesn't even seem like he cares what's going on when he's in the same room as the guy who.
exactly. Yeah,
Let me tell
it's
you about
interesting
my.
actually because I mean, the cat priest seems a bit more human and less cat-like, doesn't he? Really?
He does. He does. It is interesting to see the cat makeup on a different actor. How they did it there with like the one darker hand and like the whiskers coming out of his cheeks. They don't
Yeah.
quite follow that in the Promised Land. We don't quite see that. Which, for that matter, I'm I know it's not this episode where it's mentioned, but like I'm really really happy they didn't go with the six-breasted cat women. I'm going to assume maybe they have the six nipples, but not like anything too untoward.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, of course. Well, bear in mind it's Cat who tells us that, and he's not exactly the most reliable source.
He says they are very easy to please, so we can take from that what we will. But I appreciate that we didn't have like Rimmer's talking about the green babes with the six breasts in this
Of
episode.
course,
Like I'm
yeah.
glad that didn't actually come true with the cats.
Yeah, of course it's yeah, yeah, of course it's a very obvious sort of swipe at Star Trek, and show me some more of this Earth thing called kissing, etc., etc.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no joking. Like just that whole like sci-fi male fantasy thing of, like Rimmer's very much representing that like gross side of things. Imagine making love to a woman.
Yeah, course, that's
But
a
yeah,
bit
I
of
mean,
continuity nightmare, because technically he has made love to a woman at that stage, Yvonne Magruder, but still.
I don't know if that counts, but
Yeah, I don't know if it counts either. I mean,
it's
it's
not a made love, quote unquote.
obviously there was no love making involved, but bits of some variety clearly occurred.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I like that they took a moment to do that. Especially like I love the whole aliens thing because how many sci-fi franchises can you think of that just really took the bold stance of there are no aliens here. We are not talking about aliens. Aliens are not a thing. They're just focusing on people.
Yeah, it was very brave of them, because I mean, they made it sort of difficult for themselves in terms of stories, but I mean, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean they fudged it a little bit with simulants and gilfs. I get it, but I don't know. I really appreciate that they took that stance and they stuck with it.
Mm. Yes,
Not a lot of
definitely good for them.
a lot of people would have done that, and so I just appreciate it on the merit of it's different and it's nice to see that difference. Like there, like what if people are all alone out there?
Yeah. Mhm. Oh, sorry, but briefly going back to the cat priest, because I just
Yeah,
wanted to mention one thing that I noticed, and I can't believe I never really kind of took it in before. It's kind of odd. He doesn't have fangs like Cat.
I wasn't even looking. Huh. I guess maybe those are a little more fiddly to
Yeah, I
put on
mean,
somebody. I don't know.
maybe it was for the actor's comfort, because he was obviously quite elderly, and maybe they felt it would be too difficult for him to sort of talk around them. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. They were red hat cats. They were who believed in cloisters. So I guess it was the blue hat cats who believed in cloister and exploded. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, of course, yeah, Clister and Cloister and so on, yeah.
Yeah, they don't really ever clarify that, but in TPL where the cats come back, they call them
Yeah, of
cloister and
course they did change quite a lot in
yeah,
TPL. Like, I mean, for instance, it was implied, that cat had that the cats had been around sort of other cats more than
yeah,
in
bit of,
Waiting for God.
bit of a retcon there, I guess. But yeah, he at least like knew his father. It sounds like from this one, which boy, let's talk about the awkward wording there of like being
Oh yeah, it is very cringeworthy. The boy was born an idiot. I
yeah, the
mean,
idiot and the but I mean that was the joke, right? But that's kind of an awful implication that you've
it
got
is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean,
somebody of not a lot of wit and somebody who is physically disabled uh, laughing at that. Oh man, that's a little rough.
yeah, I know. I
Um,
mean, it is awfully realistic that they would leave behind people they didn't consider um worthy of coming with them. I mean,
yeah,
and Rodon does sort of hark back to that, and say they didn't take Cat because they didn't think it was cool enough, so
yeah. But the show, one of its hallmarks is that it takes really, really depressing things and you know has a laugh at them.
yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean,
I,
I
I
mean,
would have
obviously,
chosen my words better, perhaps, but I see what they were going for there.
yeah, and I mean, of course, you can argue that the person who says it, the cat priest, it is kind of believable that he would say it like that, because well, he doesn't have the sort of, the way he wouldn't look at things the way we look at things. We're, where we would say, hold on, that's a pretty awful thing to say, really. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, part of the society
actually,
that you should stay behind, right?
Yeah. Of course, he is actually physically disabled himself, the cat priest. He's blind. That's why the whole Lister can, pretend to be Cloister.
Yeah, how convenient. I mean, he did look like him, so it might have worked otherwise, but he couldn't have threatened Cat quite so well.
Yeah, I love that bit where he, sort of threatens him with a gold hot cross bun or whatever it is.
Got to get creative with Cat to get him to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
I try to pay attention to that when I'm rewatching. Just like, how do they convince Cat to do anything? Because having written some fic for them, it's hard to come up with a reason.
Yeah, you need a motivation for Cat.
So fish or something. Fish are getting hit.
Yeah. Also, I did wonder, on rewatching this, why it's quite unusual. I mean, the climax of the episode, with the cat priest and his death. Rimmer, of course, is not present for that. It's quite unusual for him not to be present for the climax of an episode. But of course, I can see why, because Rimmer would have blown it in 2 seconds flat. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. He would have done it with a relish.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, does Lister even tell them about the cat priest? I wonder.
Oh man, I don't know, because Lister's pretty much an open book, but also like Rimmer is not the kind of person to confide to. Still, Lister does it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he probably does tell them at some stage, because they have so many sort of long and boring nights, with no one to talk to but themselves. He probably does tell them eventually.
I imagine, because we were just laughing at how Cat never thought to mention there was somebody down there. Like, that doesn't seem like a Lister thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is funny that Lister has point blank asked Cat, "Where are the other kitties?" And he's still
of course, yeah, and obviously, Cat is more bothered about Crispies.
Yeah, he does bring Lister the books though, which is interesting. He's actually is selfish for enough time to actually bring a book up to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite surprising he actually remembered. I mean, I assume probably that he must have got that book from the cat priest, But the fact that him remembering to bring it with him, remembering that Lister wanted it, is quite good, really, for cats.
I don't know, even a selfish cat can have a sweet moment.
Yeah, I guess it's like the moment where your cat, comes and jumps on your lap and snuggles up, I guess.
Or when they bring a dead bird to your doorstep or something.
Yes, God, yeah. I mean, I know it's their idea of being affectionate, but yuck.
They're just helping out. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, this is random, but I just want to mention this bit that I absolutely love. The voiceover, where Rimmer's going, "It has become clear, to me, blah blah blah," and then Holly's punchline. Good, maybe they can give you a hand with your punctuation. I never fail to laugh at that one. It's just hilarious.
That is such a good joke. I love that little insight into how he writes too. Just from a writer's perspective, I think that's hilarious. And I get the frustration. A lot of people don't know where to put the comma, and it's just that to the 10th degree here. But he's so confident about it too.
Yeah, he was good. He was really, sort of comma overload.
Probably thinks it makes him look fancy somehow.
Yeah, I think he's Rimmer, he's sort of internalized. Ooh, punctuation, makes him look brainy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the scene where going back to the scene where they're arguing about the pod, and it ends with Lister sort of pouting at Rimmer, you know.
I think he gives like a wink earlier too. When
yeah, I think that was in Balance of Power. Yeah, when
okay, yeah, that was the previous episode. But like, dang, like this feels a little flirty.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously, I know in universe it's supposed to. I know from the right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Lister, you know, just being obnoxious in any way you can think of, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I prefer the slushy explanation.
Well, you know, that might be biased on that point, but
yes, definitely very, very biased. I have to admit, yeah.
But it is interesting to see like how casual Lister is with that kind of thing, because like, can you imagine like part of what drives him up the wall about it is that, you know, he's too fucking insecure to be able to do that kind of thing to somebody else or have them do it to him. He's not secure in his own sexuality. He's got tons of homophobia to work through. It just that's why it works so good on him. And you know, Lister's the kind of guy who, like, you know, that scene where he sees Peterson again, he runs up and gives him a big old kiss. Like,
I was thinking of that bit with Peterson as well. Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, he has absolutely no problem kissing Peterson on the lips in public. You know,
no, not at all. Like, he's just a chill dude. Like, he is not worried about you know, his sexuality or appearances to that effect.
We are going to overlook Series 7 because Series 7 is bad.
Well, yes, that doesn't exist, right?
Well, it'll exist when I get to it eventually, and I'll tackle it then. But yeah, I mean, of course, the writing did change after Rob left. I mean, not that I'm saying, you know, that it's all Doug's fault. I mean, no, because I mean, I'm not saying Rob was the clever one or whatever. You know, I think they both worked better together, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they both had their own elements that contributed to, you know, polishing up a more. I don't know. They filled in the gaps for each other. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I do think Doug, you know, obviously in the Dave era, he has definitely come into his own. He's got over not having a writing partner anymore, you know, and the writing has improved a lot again.
Yeah, I think so. He went back to a lot more of these, you know, classic. Well, I don't want to say formula, but you know, it's the four of them in the bunk room, about dynamics, interesting things happen. You know, we're not trying to go sideways like we did with Series 8, where everything just changes completely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want. I mean, as I said before, I don't want to get started on Series 8 until I get to Series 8, because, you know, Series 8 I could rant about it for an hour, and probably.
You might need some long episodes for that one.
Yeah. I guess it might be fun putting the boot in, you know. But I mean, I prefer to, you know, sort of praise, and, you know, of course, I mean, most of the show I do really like, you know. It's just that series is bad.
We all know it. But yeah, no, it is. I can't help but compare, you know, these early episodes to the later ones, especially like the season 1 and 2 are so different from the mid episodes to the later ones, and you know, onto the Dave era. There's, you know, retconning and like consistency aside, it is interesting to think about like how they've changed and their different reactions and what that means about who they are. Because like, yeah, is Lister somebody who runs up and kisses his buddy, or is he somebody who like, you know, vehemently defends his sexuality?
I know. I mean, that bit is, you know, I mean, it is really only that scene in Duck Soup where, to be fair, he's talking to Kachansky, you know, and
that would be the
person, you know,
the most. Yes.
He doesn't want her to think he's gay, you know, because obviously he wants to have a chance with her.
It is. I don't know, what would you call it? Poetic? I don't know, that both Holly and Lister know that it's a garbage pod, and they're just letting
Yeah, I
Rimmer
mean,
have fun
Holly,
with it.
Holly is such a troll, you know, he just, you know, well, it's a laugh, and it's, you know.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, he's got to be so bored after 3 million years alone. That's gotta like get to you. This is the most fun he's had in a while.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, you could probably argue that most of the things, most of the plots of the early episodes are probably created by Holly, you know, because he's bored, you know. I mean, obviously in Queeg, you know, that was all him, you know. But I mean, even some of the other ones where it's less obvious.
Oh yeah. Well, it's consistently clear that he's just doing his own thing and not being entirely honest about it. I mean, he'll fess up if you ask him, but like Lister did in this episode. But yeah, like I said on the last episode, with Peterson's arm, like that seems like that might have been Holly. He's just always got something going on in his mind that maybe we're not all able to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose it does tie in with the theme of the episode, which, well, I mean, the theme of the episode is that all the characters, you know, sort of searching for meaning in their existence, and you could even include Holly in that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because what does he have to do in life other than to troll Rimmer?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, it's neat the way they managed to link that to all the characters. I mean, you know, the cat priest, Talkie Toaster, and everyone is sort of searching for meaning in their existence,
Well,
except
the
possibly
cat.
apart from, oh yeah, I was going to say except for Cat. Cat is
Well,
quite happy.
all Cat wants is to be fed and to talk about his investigating feat. So I mean, that's that's what he would like.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sweet actually, that scene, you know, where he comes and says, "Feed me," and Lister feeds him Crispies, and then says, "I am your
Oh,
God."
so cute. Like I wish they would act more like cat and man relationship sometimes. Like I do really appreciate their like buddies kind of thing going on, but it's really cute and like Lister just takes care of him, even if like he's a grown ass man and he should be able to take care of himself.
He should, yeah. I mean, you know, on the subject, you know, of sort of shipping Lister with characters. I mean, I do ship Lister with a few male characters, but not with Cat in a sexual way at all. You know, because they're buddies, the way I see it. You know.
Yeah, that chemistry is just not there. They've got a different kind of dynamic going on for themselves.
Yeah, I guess you call it a bro TP.
Yes, yes. Now they make really good friends, but like it's clearly um not that kind of thing with them. Like
Agreed. You know,
I
I
can't
mean, you
see
know,
listening into
I
that.
have, you know, occasion, you know, encountered the occasional person who ships them, you know, but it's very rare.
Yeah, I've seen it and it's all right, but I can't imagine Cat getting over the smell and Lister getting over just how like just dumb Cat is. Like they just don't seem like they would click on
Yeah,
that
and
level.
also obviously cat is a cat, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not to mention, different species. Not that that ever seems to bother Cat when he's looking for a lady, but
Yeah, and of course, well, I don't want to get too X-rated, but of course there is the fact of Cat's appendage as well.
yes, as those who have read backwards know, um, that would
Well,
be unfortunate.
I would just like to point out, you know, it's not us who came up with that; it's Rob Grant.
Yes, are you talking about the
the um the
writing?
spike penis thing, yeah.
Yes, no, I got it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, the difference between like Doug and Rob and the way they write is kind of summed up by that. I think, like, just that whole book with just the extra amount of I don't know what do you call
Grossness.
that, but there's gore, there's gross stuff. It's rough. Like I think he really like adds a rough element to things that
Yeah, I mean, I like the book. It's a good book, you know, but there are parts of it I actually can't reread, you know, because
yeah.
I'm a wimp, you know. I don't like gore.
I get it. I totally get that. Because yeah, it's rough. There's and I do really appreciate about the books that they get to do some things that they wouldn't have gotten away with on TV. So you get a little more perspective in what the writers were thinking, and the things that we maybe have guessed but maybe didn't know as canon. But yeah, it does definitely lend a different tone to everything.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And yeah, as you say, briefly, Doug's solo book, Last Human, it's more sort of, well, more fan fictiony, I would say, actually, because
Yeah.
it gives Rimmer a son, from his liaison with Von Magruder, for instance. That is a kind of thing a fan fiction writer would do.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. That's kind of funny to point out, but yeah, it does sound like he's writing fan fiction for his own thing. And we all know, like, Doug definitely ships
Lister
Lister
and Kochanski, yeah.
Kochanski. So
Doug is the world's biggest Lister Kochanski shipper, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Which is something we can talk about more as we get further into the series.
Yeah, I think Rob is kind of not bothered particularly, basically.
Yeah. Well, this might be the first episode Christine hasn't mentioned, and it does. There's highs and lows for mentioning Christine Kochanski as the show goes on, because he's pretty obsessed with her right at this very beginning part, and then of course she comes back, and then she's a character on the show, and of course we're talking about her then. But it feels like a loose end that's never going to get tied up in these early episodes. Like, I don't miss her being not in this episode. It's where we're starting to get the idea of, like, okay, it's these boys in the middle of nowhere in the universe, and like that's what's going on. We're not
Exactly.
Go
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
with Lister and Claire Grogan's Kochanski, I actually find them cute together. I wouldn't have minded if she'd been around, but as it is, that's not the direction the show went in.
You can only. I guess my point is, like, you can only have so much Kochanski. You don't want to hit the audience over the head with Kochanski as this, like, just imaginary person who isn't even there
Exactly,
for the entire show. A mention here and there is nice, but like I appreciate that they kind of let go of that after a little while.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. How would you score this episode? Out of 10, both overall and for slashiness.
Overall, I think I probably like this episode more than a lot of people do, just because I really like how much story we get in it. And, maybe it's not like the most exciting or funny episode in the universe, but I think I'd give it like a 7. Especially as it's like one of the very few moments that we get to see anything about cats ever.
Exactly, yeah.
As far as slashiness goes, I guess you don't see. I mean, Rimmer and Lister kind of have their separate stories going on. Like, you still see them together in a few spots, and we definitely get that, like, childish sibling argument element in there. But we do also have, like, a kissy face, and I don't know. I think this one's low on the slashiness level, but then it has its moments. I give it maybe a 4.
Yeah, yeah, I think I agree with that. It's not the slashiest of episodes, I mean, apart from the sort of pouty bits, because yeah, as you say, most of they kind of have their separate storylines and don't interact as much as they typically do in the early series. So yeah, probably 4 out of 10 for slashiness.
Yeah.
And as for the overall score, maybe sort of 5 or 6 out of 10. I mean, I feel as though I'm being really, really mean to it, but it is the episode, of series 1 that I've enjoyed the least so far on this particular watch through. So I think I'll give it that. And also, obviously I'm trying to leave plenty of space, for
well, we gotta leave room for season 5 to hit those 10s.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, series 5 might end up getting all 10s. I don't know. I haven't got there yet.
And season 8 all 0s or something similar. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to give Quality TV more than possibly 1 out of 10. I mean,
spoiler alert.
I don't know. I mean, I'll see when I get there. And that brings us to this episode of Smeg and the Femmes. Thank you to Hologramette for technical help, and also thank you to Totty 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 for being a very entertaining guest.
Thank you. It was fantastic to be here.
I hope you listeners enjoyed listening. And if you'd like to give us feedback, you can do so on either Tumblr or on Discord, on the post where I've linked to this episode. Or alternatively, you can also email us at smegandthefemmes@gmail.com. And the next episode that we'll be covering, you probably won't be surprised to hear, will be confidence and paranoia. I hope you'll join us then, but for now, goodbye.